Don't get too worked up or excited because you haven't seen any of the veterans play in the first 3 games down in Arizona. Chance to see some of the young guys. Frelick at third. We'll talk about all that in the early spring training notes coming up next here on Locked On Brewers.
You are Locked On Brewers, your daily Milwaukee Brewers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, the Brewers are now on a 2-game losing skid down in spring training. Maybe Pat Murphy better worry about his job, and maybe Ricky Weeks is moving in. I think this is something we have to be concerned about, right? I'm kidding. Murphy made a joke the other day after he lost. He won the opener, and then he came back and lost on Sunday and pretended to be all excited about losing or all mad about losing. But, hey, it's spring training. We're going to get to all that coming up here in this edition. Frelick over at third base, loving that. We're going to get to all this. Young guys are playing. Veterans are not so far. And I like what we're seeing so far. We don't get a chance to see a lot because it's not on TV. We'll get to some of this. We got a whole March to cover this. Hi, everybody. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. We are your team every day. Follow us on Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major downloads because we're the #1 Brewer podcast on the internet. Because of you great Brewer fans out there who download us, follow us every day, download us when we drop overnight, anytime when we drop it, you are there, and we are there for you here on Locked On Brewers. Looking forward to this second season of me covering Brewers baseball. Chuck Freeman, longtime sportscaster here in Wisconsin, second-year host of Locked On Brewers. Loving it, and we're getting right in the spring training. And, of course, go to our growing YouTube page. Please go to YouTube, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode here on Locked On Brewers. By the way, a couple of radio shows I'm on weekly around the state making the appearances for Locked On Brewers. Bill Michaels' show all over the state. Madison, Milwaukee, you name it. Bill Michaels, state-renowned sportscaster, talk show host. And I'm also on Lacrosse ESPN 105.5. John Papadopoulos, 4:30s on Monday, 4:30 every Monday. We are on, I believe, with Bill's show. We're going to start doing it on Tuesdays at like 11:30. We'll chat. Today I was on at 11:30, but we'll get a more set schedule once we move toward opening day. But with Papadopoulos on Mondays, 105.5 in Lacrosse. And, of course, you get that everywhere on the internet. 4:30 on Mondays. Looking forward to love talking my conversation with him earlier today. All right. Coming up on the show. Yeah, some people are wondering, when are we going to see the veterans? When are we going to see Yelich? What's wrong with Yelich? How come we're not seeing him? Boy, he looks great physically. I want to see him bat a few times. We're going to get to all those guys. We got plenty of time. 162 games in this season. Right off the top, I do not read a lot into anything that goes down in Arizona. I said this on the radio shows I was on today. No. If a guy tears it up in spring training and he makes it as one of the last guys on the roster, I don't get excited about anything. Like Wes Clarke hit 2 home runs on Saturday or Sunday, one of the days. His first 2 at-bats. I didn't care. I mean, sure, it was a nice story, but who are some of these guys who are pitching to him? Okay? We're not facing Hall of Famers at this point of spring training, or any time really in spring training. It's mostly you're not the veteran guys are going to get the work in, and that's it. But Wes Clarke hitting a whole couple of home runs, I'm not going to rain on him at all because, yeah, it was cool that he did that. But you go to Twitter, people are saying, wow, Wes Clarke, could he be the team's opening day catcher? Come on. He's not going to make the roster. He'll be down. There's no place for him on the roster. Where are you going to play him? Catcher? You spent money at catcher already. No. Wes Clarke will start the year in Nashville, but it's a good story so far, and he's getting some 8Bs in. But all of this, the results of the game, Brewers are 1-2. The results of the game, Yelich could go down to spring training and go for 27. By contrast, he can go 14 for 23, and I'm not going to get excited about it either, because just because you have a good spring does not translate to the major league level. Does not at all. The Brewers today got thrown out at the base paths. Left and right, they were getting thrown out here, there, everywhere, trying to steal third, try to take an extra base. Pat Murphy wasn't upset about it. Why? Because Murphy knows he's a baseball guy. They were trying a few things, trying to steal third with 2 outs in a baseball game. You're never going to do. But he tried it today. Why not? He's working on a few things. He's managing. He's trying to see certain things he could do. So when July rolls around, he can see who could do what. So, yeah. Don't worry about a guy stealing third with 2 outs or making out at third base with 2 outs in spring training. Again, they're trying a few things. They're trying to see how guys can work things through. In fact, there was a guy, Rodriguez, who's, I believe the Journal Sentinel had him as a 10th ranked prospect in the Brewer organization. Yofuri Rodriguez. He 18 years old, first day on United States soil. And Murphy said at his post-game meeting with the media, well, he told me not to play him today, but I forgot about that. Which he was joking because he was going to play him anyway. They said, Murphy said management told him, let him have a day of, sitting in the dugout, getting used to America. No, he did the old Craig Counsell thing. Throw him in there right away. Player Counsell used to do this. If a guy got traded or got brought up from AAA, he'd throw him in the lineup right away. Why sit him on the bench? Throw him right in the fire. I like that. And it appears that Murphy's doing that too. Well, he did that again. He did it with an 18-year-old kid who's not going to make the roster, who they told to sit, but he played him anyway. But I have a feeling Murphy's going to be one of these guys if there's going to be a similarity to Counsell, and there's probably some that are going to happen, some similarities, some not so much similarities, but I think he's on the same page that if a player gets called up, he's not afraid to hesitate, and he's not afraid to use him. He's not going to hesitate to use him. So Murphy also, I like him already. I like him as the manager. I like some of the things he's doing. He says he dislikes older guy arrogance. He goes, nothing worse than older guy arrogance on a baseball team. How true? How true? The guy who comes up there with, we can't do this in baseball. We can't do this. He made a reference to like a younger guy running ahead of an older guy. An older guy will say, hey, you're not supposed to run ahead of us. Who cares? Older guy, younger guy, they're all on the team. And in baseball, you have so much of that. Older guy arrogance. Murphy says nothing worse than older guy arrogance in baseball. Touche. Yes. Some of these veteran baseball players, some of these veteran guys walk around like they invented the game. They walk around the dugout like I'm not saying the Brewers. Brewers don't have enough of those veteran guys. There's a few other guys around Major League Baseball, some guys whose stars are fading, who think that, man, they invented baseball. You got to play by their rules. Don't throw them a high and tight pitch. Don't call that inside strike on them because they've been in the game for 20 years. 15, 10, 5. Yeah. Older guy arrogance. I like Pat Murphy. Getting to know him as a manager, but I like some of the stuff he's saying so far. Good for him. But the veterans are going to play. And Murph said that. I mean, the veterans were in the lineup again today, but the veterans are going to play. We'll get to some of that coming up here next. Sal Frelick playing third base every day so far. I like that too. Man, I like Murph early on. It's only spring training, though. I just said don't get too excited about spring training. And here I'm just talking about how much I'm liking certain things that Murph is doing down there. FanDuel. FanDuel is the number one sports book in America for a very simple reason. Why? Because they're good. $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. New customers, $150 in bonus bets with any $5 bet. $150 if your bet wins. Bet on your favorite NBA players and teams. Quick bets, live game parlays. They are the number one sports book in America for a reason because they're so good. They have so many good props. Same game parlays. Not everybody offers them. FanDuel does. Exclusive props. Whole lot. Go on there. Check out their live odds. All that. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn, LOCKEDON, and shoot your shot. FanDuel.com/LockedOn and claim your bonus bets, $150. Once you win that $5 bet, visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn to shoot your shot today with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook and the official sportsbook of the NBA. Chuck Friedman, we're coming right back here on Locked On Brewers. Welcome back to Locked On Brewers. Chuck Friedman, your host. Good to have you along here on a Monday night. Going to be 65 in Wisconsin. Man, we didn't even have to go down to Arizona and have spring training this year. Didn't even have to go down to Arizona. Could have had it right here at AmFam Field. You think about it. I mean, every day it's in the 50s and the 60s. Put the roof down on the cold days. Didn't even have to go down there. Now you had to play other teams, I guess. But, man, weather was warm enough to practice in AmFam Field today and get a little workout in. Tomorrow, too, all this week. Well, very uncharacteristic. Usually this time of the year, we're getting 20s in Wisconsin. Man, beautiful day. People out jogging, playing ball in the park. Unbelievable. So, very cool that we're getting great weather here. But, I mean, the people are going down to Arizona for spring training. One of the great things about going to spring training is you get away from Wisconsin weather. Because Wisconsin weather, as we know, upper Midwest, it's bad this time of the year. But it's been the best winter of my entire life as far as weather. We've never had a winter. We never had a winter in Wisconsin. So people are going down to Arizona. And I know if I'm down there, I'm thinking, God, 65 back in Wisconsin. What am I doing down here? Well, you're enjoying watching baseball. And the beauty of getting down to spring training is enjoying baseball when it's lousy up here. Yeah, a little bit. You're thinking, it's not so bad back there. You're escaping the bad weather, but still, the weather is nicer down in Arizona and anywhere you go down in Phoenix. I'm not a big fan of their spring training home. The area where the Brewers train in Phoenix, I do not like that area. I'm not a big fan of it. I was hoping, and the land is very expensive there in the suburbs of Phoenix. And I think this is why a few years ago they chose to rebuild in their field in Phoenix, in that area right there, in that urban area. Again, I wish they were out a little bit, out a ways a little bit. But such is life. They're there to play baseball. But yeah, I would say the Brewers spring training home, probably the least desirable place to go out of any of the spring training places down in Arizona. I'm not to persuade you not to go down there. It's still great being down there. But God, I think some of the other ballparks down there have better spring training homes. Spring training homes, not AmFam Field. I think AmFam Field is the best, where the Brewers are home in Milwaukee. But spring training, I wish they weren't in Phoenix. I would love to see if they're in Mesa, Scottsdale, somewhere around there. But I was hoping when that lease was up a few years ago, they were going to move, but then they decided to stay there. I guess, again, cheaper land than it would have been in Scottsdale. But I got on my a little soapbox here. I want to talk about Sal Frelick at third base. 3 days in a row playing third base. How cool is that? Turned a double play in the third inning, a 5-4-3 double play. And I like the idea of him playing third. Was he going to make some mistakes over there? Is he going to be the opening day third baseman? I don't know. But he's sure getting a lot of time over there early on. I wouldn't read too much in it, but I guess I would read this into it. They're serious about him playing third base because there's a gaping hole over there. As I've said, nothing against Andrew Monasterio, but the Brewers hopefully can do better at third base. He had a nice year, but we're trying to win pennants. Monasterio's a nice utility player. Move him around the infield. Sal Frelick, he might be better defensively than Frelick over at third base right now, but I think there's so much of an upside with Frelick, so much of an athlete. You could play that guy everywhere. And I like the idea of him getting a lot of reps over at third base. As I told you, I like the idea that Murph put him there to begin with on his suggestion, and he's going out there and getting a lot of reps over there. So good for him, Sal Frelick. I want to see him in it. Frelick's got to be in the everyday lineup. Got to be in the everyday lineup. He can't platoon him because in the outfield, there's so many different ways you can go for outfield spots. It's a crowded outfield, as we know. But he's got to be in the lineup every day. I think Frelick's got to be in the lineup every day. Yelich has got to be in the lineup every day. You obviously got to give him some rest with the back. Garrett Mitchell, till further notice, until he proves me wrong, in the lineup every day. Those are the guys I want in the lineup every day. I want those guys in there. Joey Wiemer, got to make the team first. Okay. Working on that swing as we saw the other day. But they've been putting him in cleanup every day, batting in the cleanup spot, getting him reps, throw him out there. Absolutely. Doesn't matter to me if Yelich or like Rhys Hoskins hasn't batted at all either. Don't care. Gary Sanchez, no at bat so far. Don't care. Plenty of time during the regular season. It's a long haul, 162 games. Don't need to see much from the frontline pitchers. Let those guys get their work in. They're smart enough to know that. And, go from there. But just play all the young guys. You got a whole month of this. Now, spring training's not as long. It seems like it's long as it used to be. But I guess it's not as long as it once was. And the season starts at the end of March. But we're turning the calendar here. And before you know it, those fellows will be coming north, and it'll be game on. It'll be game on. So, the first weekend of baseball, I believe, is like the opening is like the weekend of the regional finals in college basketball. Regional finals. Yeah. To send them off to the Final Four. So that's cool. And I believe the Brewers do start on the road this year. Yeah. Now I'm second guessing myself. I believe they start on the road. And then I know they played the Twins right before the Final Four, because I'm going to Arizona to cover that. Tuesday and Wednesday, the Brewers, their first two games against Minnesota. I'm getting off track here again. But the bottom line, what I want to say is the veterans are playing. The veterans out there, they're going to get their time. They're going to get their reps, and especially a guy like Yelich, who's been around a little bit. Let's just make sure he's healthy for the season, because you're going to need that bat in the lineup. Wes Clarke again, the 2 home runs. Touched on him briefly earlier. Keep running him out there. Let him hit. Let him take at-bats. Let him take reps. Let him probably not going to make the team, but I'm good with him. And all the new guys going everywhere. Frelick leading off. Wiemer in the cleanup spot. Contreras did play over the weekend, hit a home run, a 3-run shot. His first time up. Ortiz playing shortstop. I like that. Got in and played some shortstop today. That's good. He's going to make some mistakes out there. I don't think we'll talk more about that. Where I think Ortiz is going to play. We'll talk more about that coming up here in a little bit. Got to go to my eBay Motors read here. eBay Motors. I've been telling you about eBay Motors and how great it is. eBay Motors is your place to go if you're looking for a part for your car. If you have passion, drive, and patience, what brings home the winning trophy also brings home your ride or die and keeps that alive. Talking about your car, eBay Motors has everything to maintain your vehicle. Leveled up to peak performance, superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, anything you need. Speed, power, style. eBay Motors has got you covered. 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You always have the exact part you're looking for. And with Guaranteed Fit, eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time, or your money back, because at eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. All the parts you need, the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Now, keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Motors, eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. So if you're overseas, it's not available there, but it is available if you're in the U.S. ebaymotors.com. Told you about the guy down the street. He swears by it, loves it, and he'll continue to use it. And he'll tell me tomorrow morning when he watches this podcast, when he's working in the garage. I don't know what he does for a living, but he's always in this garage, so he must have a job that doesn't require him to be to work in the morning. Chuck Freeman here on Locked On Brewers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We're coming right back. Ortiz, you say, where is he going to play? Is he going to play shortstop? Is he going to play third? Is he going to play second base? Where do we put Ortiz in this lineup? First of all, he's got to prove he's going to hit on the major league level. The guy's got a glove. He's got the glove like Terang. Now, I don't know if Terang is going to make the team. And when I say that, Terang has got to be able to hit. And if Ortiz maybe outplays him in spring training, where does that leave Terang? Terang's got to get his at-bats in. Maybe there's no at-bats. I don't know. I still think Turang is going to be unless he bombs out in spring training, he's going to be the opening day second baseman. I think any way you look at it, we could say all we want that guys are playing for positions, but the Brewers do have in the back of their mind, this is going to be our starting five in the rotation. This is going to be the 8 guys we're going to put behind our pitcher. This is who's going to be out there on opening day. They know. They have a pretty good idea. Let's say a guy totally bombs out or gets hurt in spring training. Well, then, yeah, things change a little bit. But I think they have a real good idea what they're going to do. Are they going to tell us? Of course not. You know, as Ted Thompson used to say, he's not going to give us the keys to the kingdom. And certainly Pat Murphy or Matt Arnold definitely are not going to do that. You know, they're going to, especially Matt Arnold. He's like his predecessor, never going to tell us anything. And he shouldn't. That's his business, what he's doing with his team. That's his business. So, but yeah, Ortiz, I think they're going to move him around. I don't see Ortiz playing third base. My gut feeling he's not going to be the opening day third baseman. Between second and short, I don't see him starting on this team. If he makes the roster, he's got to make the team first. Okay. If they find out his bat isn't good enough to make the team just yet, that he needs some more seasoning because he is the A++ defensively player, but they may just send him down to AAA. And again, I don't think anything is set in stone with these guys. You know, when you look at a roster and you see the guys that make this roster for opening day, that could change in a heartbeat. So just because a guy makes the roster, there could be a trade, there could be a change. Nothing is set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. You know, they're who knows? They may decide at the last second to bring up another pitcher and they send another guy down just when he thinks he's going to make the team. So yeah, but I think pretty much at this point they know who's going to make the team, and you know, will Sal Frelick be the opening day third baseman? I think that's anybody's guess. I have a feeling he's got a good shot at it. I think they're going to give him every opportunity to play third base, but they're playing the young guys. Ortiz playing shortstop today. Gasser got on the mound for the Brewers. And will Willy Adames be traded? I'm not completely counting out that the Brewers will trade Willy Adames. I'm not counting that at all. Part of me thinks that could possibly still happen. The Brewers may say all the right things right now about Adames being one of their core guys, but I'm not sold 100% that he's going to be on this team. And I would think if by the trading deadline, when that comes in July, if the Brewers aren't in it, I think he's for sure going to be traded. But I still think maybe there's some other guys they look at and they make up their minds, and maybe that's when I said the roster set, maybe they think, well, hey, they feel comfortable maybe Turang playing shortstop. Could that be a possibility? But I think Frelick is going to get a good shot at third base. I think he is. Now, somebody might say, well, Frelick's going to get all these reps at third base. What about Ortiz if he's going to play third base, which I don't think he is? What about Monasterio over third? What about Tyler Black, giving him some reps over third base? I think there's plenty of time for that. You know, like 30 games to play in spring training. There's plenty of time to do some things. But get Sal Frelick. I think the plan maybe 2 months ago wasn't Frelick at third base, but then in recent weeks when Murphy had this idea of putting Frelick over at third base and management bought it, I think that's the plan. And Matt Arnold wasn't spinning any trades for any third baseman. Not spinning any trades at all. Starting rotation right now, pitchers are just getting the reps in. You know, some of these guys are just getting some of the reps in. The Bryce Wilsons of the world, just getting some arms in. We'll see some of these veteran guys come along here in the next couple of weeks. Well, you know, they played 3 games so far. And the most excited I am about anything is seeing Sal Frelick play third base. I wish we could see these games on TV every day. I think only 8 of them are going to be broadcast on TV. But watching a spring training game, honestly, trying to keep score at a spring training game is next to impossible. Saw Mike Vasallo, the media relations director for the Brewers, put a scorecard on. I don't know. He keeps a neat scorecard to begin with. And to do it at a spring training game and keep a pristine scorecard like he did, man, that's admirable. Even Gorilla Monsoon would be happy about that. All right, that's going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for joining us here on Locked On Brewers. Locked On Brewers brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. You get that $150 bonus with your first winning $5 bet. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon, and you'll get your bonus, $150 when you win that first $5 bet. Coming up on the show tomorrow, Jack Stern is going to join us. He's a terrific blogger. We've had him on before. He's moving places, too. We'll talk about that coming up on the show tomorrow. And along with, other Brewers news and notes, there's going to be stuff happening every day with the Milwaukee Brewers, and we'll be covering it right here on Locked On Brewers. Chuck Freeman, Locked On Brewers, part of Locked On Podcast Network. Get us on Google, Spotify, Apple. We're on all the major downloads. And, of course, go to YouTube, go Locked On Brewers, search Locked On Brewers, hit the subscribe button on Locked On Brewers, and hit the bell. That'll alert you every time we drop an episode. Chuck Freeman. So long, everybody.